Hey there guys, this is Dark Island 1, aka Snippety Island 1. Today we're going to break down and review a few of the latest and recent trailers for the upcoming Prey movie along with the new weapons and new images. So Prey is set 300 years ago in the year 1719. It takes place in the Comanche nation. The main character of this story is Naru, a Comanche woman who was raised by some of the most legendary hunters. Later on, Naru is aware of a new danger that threatens her camp, so she tries to protect her brother and her people by hunting down this highly evolved hunter known as the feral predator, who was the very first Yautja to come to Earth. Now, the trailer to this movie really amazed me, showing what we were in store for, so when I watched it, the Comanches were speaking in English, but it has been announced that we will be getting both a Comanche dub and an English dub version. I also wonder if this solely applies to the Comanche because there are European settlers in this film now. Will they be speaking Comanche, or will they only be speaking in their own native language? That would be accurate, so I do think they will apply another language to this film. It would not make sense if we had European settlers speaking in Comanche, but if both sides joined up together, I would see the Native Americans speaking a bit of different words, but not fluently, and having a different form of communication. Now then, as for this predator, he's completely different from other Yautjas. He does not wear any armor and relies on a shield to protect himself from any kind of attack. Normally other predators would just wear armor, but it seems this hunter wants a different kind of challenge where he will get wounded easily in battle. Also, the appearance of this predator is more primitive rather than technological, meaning he's not going to have anything that highly advanced or high-tech. And in the latest to recent trailers, his cloaking technology is different, where it has an orange color effect to it, which in the movies most of the other predators' cloaking devices usually appeared as an electromagnetic bluish or white color when affected by water or physical attacks. As for the orange cloak, it has this heated plasma look when his wrist blades broke out of his camouflage. Now this is common with the jungle hunter's wrist blades doing the same thing, but it didn't have any disruptive effects to the cloak. So there is a difference between the modern technology of that timeline and in the past, but I think there are going to be flaws in his camouflage where it's an older model of the cloaking device. Now the feral predator's weaponry is quite unique. He does not use any plasma caster type weapons that we usually seen before. He uses something of a handheld spear gun that shoots projectiles that can pin a target to a surface. We have seen this kind of weapon before in video games, and we have also seen the shot of the spear projectiles in Predator and Predator 2, but not a live action appearance of this ranged weapon up until now. So when I saw this scene, I realized the spear gun charges up the projectile with energy. I think this makes the spear projectile have a longer range by going to farther distances. And it seems that he uses the laser sight to assist with his aim, or it's just wherever he aims his laser sight, it will act like a tracker where the shot will hit. The next weapon in his arsenal is a sword-like machete that he holds, and it appears to be a serrated blade with a hook. It's quite rare for a predator to use a sword as their weapon of choice, but most Yautjas would commonly use the combi stick instead since it's more of a favorite to other hunters. Now it's nice that we're seeing a different kind of predator weapon that's being used instead of a different variant of that same weapon. The last weapon he uses so far that we know is an extendable spear that he threw at someone, and over time one of the Native Americans got a hold of this weapon. So it has a one-bladed side, and at the end of the shaft it has an oval-sized pommel, and when I look at the appearance of this weapon, it overall feels like a throwing spear rather than for close-quarter combat. So the detail design to it piqued my interest. It has an Aliens vs Predator-ish look to it in the first image that we are about to move on to next. Alright, that is it for the weapons. As for the new images, the first one we have is a shot of the Predator's back, and what he's carrying on him is a medical kit which has engraved Predator language. And the weapons that we mentioned before are all on his back for carrying around with him, so when I did see this image of the sword on his back, it had a resemblance to the Elder Predator, also known as the Golden Angel in the Predator 1718 comic, where he had a sword held on his back. So I'm not too sure if they're trying to make this Predator out to be as Greyback, but there are hints that he might be Greyback, or perhaps Greyback himself is going to be in this film. After all, both the years 1718 and 1719 are both apart, but we'll talk more about this in the second image. Now in the second image it shows there's a Flintlock pistol on the ground that resembles the one from the Predator 2 movie, so this could be the same pistol or it's just a random Flintlock. And it could be an Easter egg in this movie, or they're just retconning the Predator 1718 comic idea. If so, I hope they really leave this alone. I don't want this comic to be no longer canon. The last image is some kind of foreign object that does not seem to be made by humans, so it must have been used by the feral predator on a human, and Naru is apparently inspecting what this object is as to why it's all bloody. Maybe she's trying to learn what kind of weapons and equipment the feral predator uses, but who knows. Alright, now this particular predator has shown how brutal he's going to be with his kills. They did say this movie has a possibility of being PG-13, but reassuringly enough, they announced it's going to be rated R, which is good to hear. We don't need a Predator movie to be held back by anything by cutting down on the violence and gore or anything else that's graphic. Next, we have the CGI animals in a few of these trailer scenes. It looks okay, but I'm not too sure of them using CGI in this movie because we've had CGI in past Predator films such as Predators 2010 and the Predator 2018, and so in the Predators the CGI was not too bad when they had the alien hounds where they were both CGI and practical effect, and at the time it was unnoticeable to me when I first seen it at the theater in 2010, but when we got to the last movie, The Predator, the CGI was just completely terrible with a disappointing story and bad writing, which was very comical, so hopefully Prey will not be all CGI and will have good practical effects with the right story. Let's just hope it'll wash away the Predator from our minds for good. So the matter of the feral predator killing the CGI bear is strange. That was never his fight, nor his kill to take. That would be considered dishonorable to take another person's prey away from them. Perhaps the feral predator is some kind of dishonorable exiled bad blood, or it's just they wanted to have a cool scene of a predator lifting up a CGI bear. Moving on, the human characters fighting against this predator will be very difficult for them. They do not have modern day weaponry. This is 300 years ago in the past, where they're using tomahawks, hatchets, spears, muskets, and flintlocks, and those firearms take a while to reload. So they can only use what's considered useful, but they need to think and strategize on how to fight against this alien hunter, and that's what makes it interesting on how that will play out. Last, for our main character Naru, apparently she's been studying the feral predator of its strengths and weaknesses. She has covered herself up with mud just like Dutch did in the first Predator movie, so it looks like she's going to be using the environment to her advantage. At some point it seems that she has wounded the feral predator where it unmasks itself for a final fight. Alright guys, that is it for the breakdown review. So Prey comes out tomorrow. It's only within a few hours. I can't wait to see how it turns out. Funny enough that I finished this video on the 4th, but I'm sorry that this video took a long time to upload. There was just a lot of video editing to do, and there were also delays where I didn't have the time of finishing it on the right day, but instead on April 4th, where Prey's coming out tomorrow. Well, it's better late than never. But anyway, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.